Hello, everyone. My name is Bryn Boice, Associate Artistic Director of Commonwealth Shakespeare Company. Thank you for joining us today for our second installment of Tempest Talks, a new series that takes a look inside our upcoming production of The Tempest. Today, on this fabulous April Fool's Day, we're talking to The Tempest's comic relief, its two main Foolie types, actors Fred Sullivan Jr. and John Kuntz, playing Stefano and Trinculo, respectively. Should you need it, speech recognition captioning is being used for this talk. Just locate the CC option in the menu at the bottom of your Zoom window, click it, and select the Show Subtitles option to see the captions. If you're viewing this on a rebroadcast, hello to you too, and you should be seeing our open captioning now at the bottom of the screen. For our patrons using audio describe services, and for those of you listening along, I have blondish chin-length hair, and I'm wearing round glasses and a red sweater. I'll have our guests self-describe when they enter the webinar. Before we start, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the Indigenous land on which we reside as an expression of appreciation, awareness, and gratitude. I am currently in Medford, and Johnny Kuntz is in Cambridge, Massachusetts, on colonized land in the traditional tribal territory of the Wampanoag and Massachusetts peoples. Fred Sullivan is currently in Providence, Rhode Island, on the land of the Narragansett and Wampanoag peoples. We would also like to acknowledge that the digital technology we're using together today is not available in many Indigenous communities. To learn more about CSC's work toward racial equity, including this process of land acknowledgement, please visit comshakes.org. Today's program is free, but we hope that you will consider a donation of $10 or any amount that is meaningful to you. To donate, visit comshakes.org/donate. In these uncertain times, your support of the arts and CSC is more important than ever. CSC is best known for its annual free Shakespeare on the Boston Common. We're putting together an outstanding production of The Tempest to share with you this year, directed by Steve Mailer and featuring John Douglas Thompson as Prospero, and our esteemed guests, Fred Sullivan playing Stefano. Come on in, Fred.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
I'm Fred Sullivan. I'm a big burly Boston boy, white with white hair and a white beard and a grayish mustache. More salt than pepper in my outfit. And I am wearing a bright blue shirt and a kind of a black sweater.
Great. And John Kuntz playing Trinculo. Come on in, Johnny.
Well, hello. Hi there, everyone. I'm Johnny. I have a dark brown hair that's kind of sticking up right now, and glasses, and I put on this kind of Harlequin top in sort of honor of all clowns everywhere. And I've got a little three-legged chihuahua with me too, named Zeus, who loves Shakespeare. So hello.
It's so great to have the three of you here. So gents, this production of The Tempest is not your first rodeo with CSC. Could you tell us what other Shakespeare on the Common productions you've seen or you've been involved with, in case people in our audience recognize you from past summers? Johnny, want to go first?
Absolutely. My very first show with CSC was Twelfth Night, which was my favorite play of all time that I ever did for so many reasons. I played Sir Andrew in that. It was so much fun. And then the following summer, I got to play Fluellen in Henry V. And then I think a little after that, I was also in Hamlet, and I played, I forget, I was either Rosencrantz or Guildenstern, and I don't remember which one it was, which kind of makes sense because no one in the play can remember who they were either. But I played one of them. I think I was Guildenstern. And then I also played Osric at the end, which was kind of fun. And now I'm back. I'm so happy to be here. I can't wait.
And we'll talk about those characters and what they might have in common in a moment. Fred, how about you?
This will be my 15th year with the Commonwealth Shakespeare Company. Steve had seen me play Falstaff, King of the Clowns, and he invited me to play Bottom in A Midsummer Night's Dream. So the next year he offered me Touchstone, which is the clown, but I had just played that. And so I asked to play Jaques, and so I was in that, and then I just to roll them off, Parolles is a clown, Holofernes is a clown, Malvolio is in the clown school of Twelfth Night, and I was a gangster in Kiss Me Kate at the Hat Shell, directed by Steve for Commonwealth Shakespeare Company, and I directed a lot of clowns and Cymbeline. I've also played Gloucester and Menenius and Capulet, Brabantio and Buckingham and Aegean. So I've played half clowns and half fathers or something. But yeah, I've been around the block on the Common, and I love it. I love it more than anything.
So surely they recognize you, surely. Right?
Well,
So
not,
these,
I'm surely.
you surely. These are two, obviously, listening to that audience, these are two Shakespeare veterans, folks. So are there other fools and clowns that you've worked on elsewhere, not with us?
Well, for me, yeah, quite a bit with Actors Shakespeare Project and elsewhere, Lyric State, so I've been here my whole life here in Boston. So I've been very fortunate to play a lot of clowns. In Shakespeare, Lavache and Oswald It Ends Well, and I feel like Comedy of Errors, almost everyone is a clown in that.
Yes.
So
I'll give you that. Yes.
yeah. And yeah, just we were talking earlier just about how if someone is thinking of either a funny role or just some really weird, just a weirdo. For some reason, I just pop into people's heads. I'm like, oh yeah, John Kuntz could play that strange weirdo. I'm very flattered.
Very flattered. Right. You're the perfect weirdo, Johnny. Fred, how about you?
I grew up at the Howard Junior Theater down there in Cape Cod, and the first Shakespeare play I was ever in was Comedy of Errors when I was 10 years old.
Oh my God.
So I got addicted to the Boston Shakespeare Company that Will LeBeau and Steve Avison and a bunch of great actors were in. And so I would go see that all during high school. And in high school, I did Stefano in the Tempest up there at the St. John's Prep Drama Guild with Ron Santoro. And, we used to win all the awards and everybody hated us. But ever since, I've 35 years at the Trinity Rep Company. And once Oscar came in, we started doing Shakespeare almost every year. So I played Falstaff in both parts of Henry IV and in Merry Wives of Windsor. I played Touchstone for him. I played the clown in The Winter's Tale, and later at GAM, I played Autolycus in The Winter's Tale. I did in Petruchio and Tranio. That's a long story. We had a guy named, who was the man from Atlanta? Patrick Duffy was playing Petruchio, and he lost his voice. So I was Tranio, and I was all the time supposed to be understudying Patrick Duffy, but I just figured he would do it, And so I never learned the lines. But lo and behold, on the opening night, there I was holding a little brown book saying, tush, tush, fair boys with bugs. Anyway, and I think I played Tranio on the same night, which was really strange. Anyway, Pompey in Measure for Measure, not one you hear about every day. And Gratiano and the Prince of Aragon, the Gravedigger in Hamlet, along with the Ghost and the First Player. But yeah, a lot of clowns. I've actually done 50 performances of Shakespeare. I'm trying to do that. Johnny Davenport used to say, I have to do all of them, So I have 8 more. I have 8 more to go, but I don't think I'll ever get all
8. We're gonna make it so. We gotta make it so, man. That's great.
Yeah, that's I need to count. I don't even know. I've been in some.
Yeah, most people don't count like me. I have a Rain Man thing. I like, I go like Judge Wapner, I need 8 more Shakespeares. Yeah.
I get some pure ones out of the way, like King John. Like
I'll never do it. Yeah. Well, you guys do that. Yeah, you at Actors Shakespeare Project do that. We at Trinity weren't doing that. And I begged, I'm the resident director at the GAM Theater, and I begged Tony Estrella for Timon of Athens, and he laughed so hard in my face. I mean, like he just like laughed. He just like, there was spittle. And this was before we had to wear masks. So yeah, but I was begging for Timon.
It's a really good play. Yeah.
Well, I love the play. The play. The fact is they just did a great one that I watched. When the pandemic came and we all glued to our computers and watched the RSC for free. Oh, not you. Anyway, it's what I consider fun. So anyway, I watched Timon of Athens, and they were so smart because they cut down that Shakespeare never repeated himself. Like he just said like like Walt Disney said, I can't do more pigs with pigs. I need to do dwarfs. He tried everything, like start with a tragedy, end with a comedy, all this stuff. In Timon, the lead dies at Act 4. Timon is dead for Act 5, I think. And these people were so smart, they cut Act 5 down to about 4 minutes, you know? When Timon is dead, the play is over. So, yeah. So anyway, I want to do, I want to do Timon. I want to do Troilus and Cressida. I want to do,
I feel like we got to make it happen.
Antony
Somebody
and
out there.
Cleopatra.
I mean,
Let's do it.
literally,
You
like,
and me.
Tony has to hear this now. So, he'll give you your time. And if he doesn't, Fred, I will. Or
Okay.
Steve will. Okay.
All right.
So,
Yeah,
okay,
well, Steve promises a lot.
he's watching tonight. He has to acknowledge you, Fred.
So
let's
I hear you, Fred.
let's get down to brass tacks about these fools and clowns, because there's a reason that I brought this up, that you guys have a lot of experience with these fools and clowns. And I'm excited to get to chat with you today on April Fool's Day about these two characters that you're playing. And I want to give just a little bit of background for the audience. Shakespeare generally has he had two kinds of fools in his plays, and they're usually divided into subsets: the fools and the clowns. The fools proper are wise. They're kind of like court jesters. They're employed by some person of power. They speak truth to that power generally, and they are usually the character that knows the most about the situation at hand. And that includes characters like Feste in Twelfth Night, the Fool in King Lear, Touchstone and As You Like It. Then you have Trinculo, and I want to get back to him in a second because he's not wise, but so we'll get to him in a minute. He's unique. And then Shakespeare also wrote clown characters, and they were characterized by malapropisms, confusion, physical shtick, drunkenness, and the like Dogberry and Much Ado, Nick Bottom and Summer, Falstaff and the Henrys, as you mentioned, and Merry Wives, even the grave diggers in Hamlet, and our Stefano, a big drinker in the Tempest. So could you chat for a second about who these two gents are that you're playing and how they sort of fit into the fool clown world?
Yeah. Well,
yeah, go ahead, John.
Well, for Trinculo, I'm glad you made that assessment about the fool, because it's so true. There's the wise fool, like in King Lear. We think that the fool always says these things that no one else can say, and they're kind of outside of society pretty sometimes, so they're able to sort of get away with it. But then you have Trinculo, who is just not wise. He's really stupid. Yeah, he really sort of goes against that whole thing. He's not that sort of that fool that says all these wise things. He really is a fool,
an actual fool, natural fool.
Right? He has two brain cells and they're fighting,
but he still has a job. He's still employed.
Yeah, he's employed. He must be amusing somehow to his his masters.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe I have talents in other, maybe I can play a flute or something.
That's a mean jazz flute, right? Exactly. Fred, how about Stefano?
I think both the jester and the butler are working class. I think that we are the subplot and the kind of subclass. We're down in steerage when the ship goes down. So we end up in literally, this is where the another part of the island comes from, this play, right? And yeah, my guy, I as I said, I played him in high school, and I played him another time, and I've directed the play. So I love this character. Mm-hmm. And when the director of the New Jersey Shakespeare Festival asked me, "Why do you love him? I hate him. He's a murderer. He's a this." I said, "No, he's inept. He's not a." I said, "Caliban is the dark side of everything." So he's been beaten and abused. So, he has a reason for being so dark, but he wants revenge through Stefano. And he thinks Stefano is a wizard because Stefano always has booze. He always has wine. He stole the wine cat. He actually saved his life but when the ship went down by bobbing along on the wine casket, and then he hid it in a cave and made a little bottle or something out of wood, like the professor at Gilligan's Island, and carries it around with him, and they go back to the cave and fill it up all the time. And he is, in high school, I was like, what's the key to this character? Who is the man? You know, and I got, as we all do in high school, the Monarch notes, and it said, he is not only drunk, he is roaring drunk. So I was like, oh, well, that's a, you know, that's a deep characterization. So yeah, he's a specialty act, you know, is what he is. He's a drunk. And if you're not drunk throughout the play, you're not doing your job.
May I ask you, did he save that cask of wine from drowning?
Yes, he saved the wine. That's how he thinks of it. I think that's what he tells Trinculo. Look what I did. Look what I achieved. Yeah, I got the best part. All the treasure went down, but I got the wine. He knows how to live, which makes him definitely related, you know, to the big drunks on the charm bracelet that I usually play, which is Falstaff and Toby Belch, which I've also played beside Malvolio. And, you know, the reason why I've done 50 shows and there are only 29 titles is because I play all the clowns, even the ones in the same play. So yeah, he's on that charm bracelet with the big, loud, drunken people who tend to be charming. And
the function of these clowns and why they're there. Would you care to speculate or drop?
Well, it's
drop
holding
some
the
knowledge?
mirror up to the main. It's holding the mirror up to the main plot, which is the plot is about one brother supposing is that the verb? You know, taking over the country, forcing out the other brother, and so now we have the underlings, the literally the servant who is beaten and whipped and treated horribly, who gets these two guys who he thinks are gods. Actually, he thinks they are capable of magic. He doesn't like Trinculo very much. It's like when you're in high school, there are three guys and they both want to be best friends with the, you know, the winner. I'm the winner, evidently, because I'm drunk and he's never tasted alcohol before. So it is very much like high school. And they, you know, and he wants me to kill the king. Basically, he wants me to kill Prospero, who is the king of this island. And I say, I'll cut his throat and marry his daughter. So actually, I mean, not just to be blunt, we are doing the same plot they are, but we're funny. because nobody's afraid of us. You know?
No way we can.
That's what somebody who was reading the play was saying, like, I don't like them. I don't like them at all. They're dangerous. And I was like, no, when you see them in action, they're not dangerous at all because they can't even walk. You know?
They're buffoons.
They are.
Third category. This clown.
Egypts, my ancestors would say.
Bumbling, yes.
Morons.
So what, may I ask, this may be a personal question, but what do you think it is about you that keeps making people cast you as clowns and fools? Is there a thing?
Well, do you see how you live behind you, and do you see how Johnny and I live with all the kind of, that's what's going on inside of our brains. So, you know, there's just clutter and lights and Mickey Mouse and Johnny has, it looks like you could go in there and find your heart's desire. You know, no matter what it is, it's in that room. So I think people know that we have a lot going on. And even though we are hired to do very serious roles, that backstage, we're probably trying to keep the dressing room on a roar. And that, you know, we can play funny parts because it's all in the timing.
I like that. I think too. I used to be a fry cook at the Comedy Connection back in the day in the '80s. It was like my job in the '20s, and the comedians would come in because they get a free burger, and I was the only one in the kitchen. And the comedians would come in. They were so funny. They come into the kitchen with just me, and my God, they were the most depressing people I've ever talked to. They weren't funny at all. Their lives were terrible. Their girlfriend just broke up with them. You know, and I was like, you know, and then they walk on stage like, hey, and I always remembered that, just the dichotomy of that. And I feel like, you know, there's an old saying: scratch a clown, you'll find a depressive underneath. I think,
Yeah, but
you know,
Johnny, did you grow up in the era when Rod Serling would do like the comedian, or they would do the life story of Abbott Costello or Sid Caesar, and they were the most depressive people you would have. They were always drunk and abusive and chain smoking and hitting their brother and
oh
hitting
yeah,
their wife, and you go like, oh my God, these people are. I went to see John
oh,
Lahr talk, and he said his father would just sit up all night long at the table, and he'd go, Pop, you just got the greatest reviews in the New York Times about your, burlesque actor, your lead on Broadway in a Feydeau farce. Why are you up? You look like you're about to cry. And he was like, I don't know what's next. So I mean, there's something in us
yeah.
that, we're only as good as the laugh we just got and the role we're about to play, so it's a strange living to be, and Tommy Dara and Larry Cohen, the great clowns of Boston, Will LeBeau, but if you think about the famous ones from the movies, the ones everybody knows, Robin Williams and Jim Carrey, Nathan Lane, they need a Xanax prescription, all of them. Well, it's too late for most, but you know what I mean. It's a roller coaster, because it usually is that what is demanded of a comedian, of a comic actor, is like too much energy, and so most people would be like, oh, wouldn't want to be married to him.
One of you said the other day that there's a need for a little madness and a little
Yeah.
sadness to be funny, and that
Yeah.
the full spectrum is really needed to inhabit these roles.
It has to be anchored in our lives. And they asked Groucho Marx, I think William Buckley asked Groucho Marx, is the world funny? Are you naturally funny? And he was like, I'm the most depressive, serious character you'll ever meet. He goes, I have wonderful material. I have wonderful writers. I think about what I hate in the world and I vent about it, and he goes, but the world is a very serious place. And this is Groucho Marx, I mean, maybe the funniest American clown in history. The reason why he wore that mustache is he was angry. The guy came in and said, you shaved that. I paid for a mustache. The guy who ran the theater, said, I paid for a mustache. I get a mustache. And he reached down into the black grease paint and went like this, like basically, go stuff yourself. So that's how that was born, out of rage. Scratch a clown, get an angry.
There's something interesting about Shakespeare's writing as he gets further along in his career. They were talking about how some of the harder clowns to play and the darker clowns are in later plays. Can you unpack that?
There are five stages. I'll start, Johnny will probably have a lot to say because he's played them all. But the first stage was this kind of Punch and Judy commedia, Taming of the Shrew and Speed and Launce and Two Jensen, and they were very simplistic. And the thing that started changing was they got deeper. They were just commedia characters, stock types of clowns, usually in pairs. But then the language that Shakespeare gave them and the characterization that Shakespeare gave them started to, and then we got, in 1595 was the first plateau with Midsummer. And you had Nick Bottom and the Mechanicals, and they are funny on you can watch junior high school kids do those scenes and they are hysterical. They're just hilariously funny. And then the next one was kind of the golden age with Falstaff and Malvolio and Feste and Toby Belch. And they're really, really, really great clowns. I know I wrote this down because I'm not that smart. And then Falstaff, the Nurse and Peter, they're really, really funny. And then the third was Dogberry, Touchstone, Jake Weiss, Casca, it's all
These
Greek to me, and Julius Caesar, the Gravedigger, and then a Falstaff again and less. The fourth is what you're talking about, the Darker Than Dark, which is, and that Fool and King Lear is the most famous in that, but you get Thersites in Troilus and Cressida and Pandarus, really dark, Pompey and Lucio and Measure for Measure. One of my favorite roles I ever played at CSC, which was Paroles in All's Well. Amazing character, a little like, Will LeBeau, a great clown, came up to me. He was playing the king and he said, this was an argument for Paroli's being a better part than Malvolio because he has that speech at the end. I'll be a captain no more. You know, it's like when Buzz Lightyear learns he can't fly. Appomattox and the porter in Macbeth. And then the last one is always in the last one. The fifth one is always those romances that we've doing the Tempest. So Stefano and we just did Cymbeline, which has all those guys, Iachimo and Clotton. You know, they have great names. The body house in Pericles and the shepherds in the Winter's Tale.
Yeah,
and Autolycus, which we both played Autolycus.
Yeah.
Have you played the clown too in that? I mean, they're called the clown, the shepherd's son.
I've never played. I've only played Autolycus in that.
It's so funny since we're talking about clowns, is that in Midsummer Night's Dream, in the script, in the folio, you know, in the original thing that they wrote down, he's called Bottom in all of the mechanical scenes, and then when he's with the fairies, he's called Clown. And then in Hamlet, when the two gravediggers come in, it says two clowns enter. So it's just so, I know that's all the nerdy stuff that sometimes Steve makes us talk about, but you know, it's fascinating. I love it. You know, I can't get enough of that stuff, and you know, it's really kind of cool. Anyway, Johnny, take over. I yapped out about the 5 stages.
We're talking, yeah. I love the 5 stages. That's really that you drop some knowledge on it. We're talking about Autolycus. I mean, I know this is not the Tempest, but talking about Autolycus and why you had a little fun debate about why he shouldn't exist in that play, or why you should cut him, or why you should keep him, Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny said you don't need him if you want to get that play in under 2 hours.
I know.
But well, yeah, my side was very different. But go ahead, John.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not going to make a case for cutting Autolycus because I played Autolycus. I love Autolycus, but technically he doesn't really move the plot a lot. Like you could, dispense with him. You know, I'm not saying that you should do that, but
so for audiences who have not, sorry, we are really nerding out. This is the Winter's Tale. He comes in about halfway through. So read the Winter's Tale, read the part of Autolycus, and then the last you decide for yourself.
And there's another side to this debate because he's the only thing that joins both worlds, really.
Yes, I do agree with that.
He used to work at the court, and now he's picking pockets in the countryside. And it's kind of like Othello goes to As You Like It, and he lives in both worlds. But he's also one of the great clowns. I mean, there are scenes in there that the audience, it's a wall of sound coming at you from them screaming, laughing. The pickpocket scene. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff. He pretends to be a lord, and his language in that, when he's fooling the rustics, is probably the funniest stuff in that late period.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I want to end on a fun question with you guys. I know that there's sort of an old saying among young actors. Let me say it like that. That if you have to play drunk on stage, the key is to try to not be drunk. Play against how drunk you are. Can you unpack, because I think both of you have played drunks, but Stefano in particular. Can you unpack your method for us?
Stefano is drunk personified. You know, and that I think also comes from, don't make an appointment to cry, try not to cry. In real life, people try not to cry. But the fact is that if you're not emotionally full, you're not going to be anything. You know, the secret is never try not to do something. Actors are called actors because we activate things. You know, we have actions and we perform them. So we take the words and we activate them. I think the secret is just to make sure that it's hard to break through the thought, but you're still trying really hard to be understood. But what's wrong is you're just broken down and can't get the. But it's about going inside, I think, because if it's too exploded, and he is roaring drunk, you're gonna not be able to be understood with the words, which is vitally important in Shakespeare. And if you try not to be drunk, you may succeed. And where's the fun in that? So the reason why, somebody once said, there's a great line in this play about the first folio where Ben Jonson it's the Book of Will, and they're talking about Shakespeare. He's been dead for 3 years, and Ben Jonson like is his enemy. You know, they're competing with each other, and he goes, and why in every play does there have to be a goddamn clown? You know, it's like there's a clown in Othello that always gets cut. You know what I mean? There's a clown, and doesn't a clown come and give her the asp in Antony and Cleopatra? There's a clown in everything. They just cut them because it's absurd after a while. And Shakespeare was going like, oh, I need a clown. The groundlings need to laugh, so somebody will come and drop their pants and give her the snake. But to answer your question, I think anything that anybody that never acted for a living that tells you what the secret of acting is to be avoided. And I think you should hire working people in the theater to teach theater, because that sounds like BS to me. I think it's something else. I think it's a specialty act. I think it's about really struggling to be understood when everything in your system just wants to go to sleep. Or have or couple with something or eat too much. I don't know, but it's a sensual thing, you know, being an alcoholic. or so I remember from about 35 years ago. But yeah. But yeah, anyway, I don't think there's much to that, if you don't mind my saying.
No, yes, no, absolutely.
It does sound like a student's magic thing. Like, oh, all you have to do is like less is more. Everybody used to say, Anthony Hopkins says less is more. And I will say, well, for Anthony Hopkins, less is more. For you, you better do more. Because
you better work.
Because right now you're doing nothing. And nothing is nothing. You know what I mean? And imagine less than nothing. Nobody's going to pay to see you do that, pal. So yeah, no, it's to develop your action and then find an obstacle, and the obstacle is you're drunk.
Yeah.
So those are like just basic acting things, but like doing nothing won't get you anywhere, even in front of a camera.
Well, thank you. I basically I needed that quick lesson to be heard by all. It was really great.
Whenever I direct a play, I say it's never too early to act. It's like, because you know those people who mark this, like, well, I'll get good in 2 weeks. It's like, oh no, dear, we have to build every day.
Well, thank you all. I know there is a question on everyone's mind. This is not for you. You fools have no control over it. And that is how we are dealing with the pandemic and this production. Commonwealth Shakespeare Company is watching very closely as the concerns around COVID-19 evolve, and we're working very carefully with the city and the state partners to navigate the coming months. We want more than anything to reunite with our audiences, artists and artisans, with safety and our people at the forefront, and you at the forefront. So stay tuned as more info comes, okay? Fred Sullivan, John Kuntz, it was fantastic having you on Tempest Talks tonight for our April Fool's Day edition, Comic Relief. As we wrap up, please don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms to stay informed about our other upcoming events. Our handle is @ComShakes. We'll also be posting this recording of Tempest Talks to social media tomorrow afternoon for anyone who might have missed out. Many thanks to all of you who joined us, especially thank you for that lively conversation. My cheeks hurt. Thank you, Fred and Johnny. Happy April Fool's Day, and bye, Zeus. Bye, Zeus. Bye, all. Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Bye.